Welcome back to the show. Let's begin this morning on line number one. Say good morning to the president and the CEO of the St. John's Ice Caps, Danny Williams. Good morning, Danny. You're on the air.
Morning, Paddy.
How are you this morning?
Good boy. I feel it's safe to call now. All the leadership races are over. I can't get drawn into any political discussion, so we can just talk sport.
Well played. And this is a big conversation, as you know, and I heard you on the news yesterday. You're a little surprised that it's taken on the life that it has. But I guess when we talk about public dollars going to private, for-profit business, and in this case, and specifically ice hockey, people are bound to be up in arms. Are you legitimately surprised with the negative backlash?
Yeah, there's so much of it. I'm not surprised. Like, there's a group out there that are just negative all the time. Is the old lobster's clawing the lobster back in the pot, and that's going to happen. And when you're out there, you draw fire anyway. So I don't mind that. I'm a big boy, can handle that. But it's got to be fair and it's got to be reasonable. The irony is yesterday, Rolls Royce were given $300,000. Not a peep, not a word. If it had been some company out of Korea or Japan or something, they were given $1 million, not a word, not a word. But because we happen to get a rent reduction and the highest rental rate in the American Hockey League, it's a big deal. I mean, we're still paying $650,000 a year. We only use the place 12% of the time. We're using maybe 40 plus nights. There's 365 days in a year, so we don't even have 20% of the time down there. And the money, Paddy, that we're generating, and I had a chat with Fred Hutton this morning, is there's the rental which we pay, which is $650,000, but there's another $2.5 million that comes into that rink by the mere fact that we're there, and that's through concession revenues and premiums on tickets and other commissions that they take. So basically, there's enough money comes out of the Ice Caps 12% usage to pay for the entire subsidy for the entire rink for Tim McGraw or Elton John or anybody else who comes through for concerts. So we're more than paying our way, and that's not taken into consideration the spin-off downtown in the bars and in the restaurants and for taxi drivers and for hotels and for stores. I mean, we've got season ticket holders from Grand Falls and Gander and Cornerbrook will come in for games. So, there's a lot of money. There's $25 million plus been spent every year as a result of the Ice Caps being there, which will be gone the day they walk out the door.
I see the activity down there when I attend the games, and I think it's real. People are wondering about some things aloud, though. They're talking about all it would mean is if you have this extra commitment coming from the Winnipeg Jets to you and your franchise here, that would mean just less profit if you didn't get this rent renegotiated and or subsidy, however people want to couch it. So what kind of profit? People want to see the books. That's something I don't imagine you're willing to do, but why wouldn't you do something like that or disclose exactly what the rent was last year compared to what it will be this year with this renegotiation, so people can see where the money is going and to what end?
Let me give you a couple of things on the expense side. First of all, we're an island, a wonderful island up in the North Atlantic, Newfoundland and Labrador, but, we've got a travel issue, and travel's a big deal. And I remember even when I was in government looking at a travel subsidy for people in Humber Valley so that we could bring more tourists in from Europe. But having said that, we don't get a travel subsidy. So as a result, we pay 4 to 5 times higher travel expenses than anyone else in the league. Last year, it cost us $2 million for travel, $1 million or $800,000 alone for just the playoffs. We lost money in the playoffs last year. Our affiliation fee is now the highest in the league. Our ice rental and our arrangement with Mile 1 was the highest in the league. People think we get the proceeds from every hot dog that's sold down there. We don't. We get 20%. The Mile 1 gets 80%. So, we've got to keep selling out to make any money at all. If not, if we go below a certain plateau, which is in the 75-80% range, we lose money, and we lose a lot of money quick if we don't start selling out. So it's really, really important that, we get a fair rent. We're not asking for free rent. We're not asking for a check. We're just saying we'll pay you $650,000, which is twice what they were paying in Hamilton for the Cops Coliseum, 17,000 people. So, we're getting nailed here, and all we're saying is just give us a fair shake so we can stay in the game and we can keep hockey in the city. From a hockey perspective, just look at what's coming up this weekend. We've got the Ottawa Senators coming in here for their training camp this weekend. They're starting on Saturday. There's a coaches clinic on Saturday for any hockey coaches who want to go down and want to be taught things by professionals. Sunday afternoon, there's an inter-squad game between the Ottawa Senators. Monday afternoon, there's an NHL matinee game at 3 o'clock between the Senators and the Islanders. Monday night, there's an evening game at 7 or 7:30 between the Islanders and the Senators. You're going to see fellas like Colin Greening, local boy, great hockey player, Tavares, and all the rest of them. So that's the kind of thing we're doing in the next 5 or 6 days. We had the AHL All-Star game here last year. It was televised internationally. Huge media coverage in Europe during an Olympic year, during the Olympics. Like, you know, you can't put a price on that. I know from being in government. I mean, when we used to look at trying to advertise in Europe, we couldn't afford it. We had to stay in the Maritimes in Ontario because it was affordable. The numbers to advertise in Europe were through the roof, you know, tens of millions of bucks. So, you know, we're getting all of this besides, you know, and our operation, Petty, spends $10 million a year. Us in Winnipeg, it costs us $10 million a year to run that hockey team. So, like, this is not cheap business. This is risky business. And all we're saying to the Mile 1 is just give us a fair rent, which is still twice as high as Hamilton.
One of the issues that people will use if they'd like to have a full big picture conversation as opposed to the cut and dry, shouldn't give money to pro sports franchises, is the spin-off dollar. You use numbers like 25, 30 million. Where do those numbers come from, Danny?
Well, first of all, the 3 million is an accurate number. It might be higher. That's the direct money that goes to Mile 1, which they would not have if they didn't have the round figures 40 Ice Caps games. The $500,000 in charitable donations goes from the 50-50, goes to the people who are in that stadium and people like Murray Chaplin who go around and garner it and collect it. We give that out, Petty, to hundreds of organizations. We don't give out, you know, $100,000 or $150,000 to big donations. We go around and we give out fives and twos and tens and that to organizations that don't get money anywhere else. So, I mean, if anybody asks any of these people what it means to them, it's huge. The $10 million in economic revenue, we put 300,000 people through the gates last year. If each one of them spent $10, that's $3 million right there. But the spin-off that you get, there's formulas that are done by the provincial government and other economists, which can calculate exactly what the direct, indirect, and induced spin-off is from certain economic generation. And the other $10 million is an actual number. Well, that's our number and Winnipeg's number to run that operation. So I'm not plucking these out of a clear blue sky. These are real numbers. And the tourism number I can't put a value on, but that's priceless.
When it came to, I think it's great news, as someone who goes to the games, that you have the fifth year to look forward to here in St. John's. And you say if this didn't come to pass, then there wouldn't be a fifth year. Does that mean if this not been renegotiated, this would indeed be the final season and that you would have had no choice, or you would have been sticking to your guns on that one?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, you know, we could talk to councillors and said to the council, you know, our expenses are going through the roof. You know, our subscription is down. Like, we're down on season ticket holders this year about 20%. Last year we had over 5,000 season ticket holders. This year there's about 4,200. So, you know, we need to get those numbers up, and we need to get them up through season tickets. And if people don't want to commit for a full season ticket, right now we're offering an 18-game package, which means you can go to every second game. We're going to be offering 12-game packages, and then we'll be offering single-game packages. So, you know, we're going to put something out there for everybody. In the same way, like with this weekend with the NHL, like the premier game is on Monday night. But in the matinee game, each team has to ice 8 NHL stars. So we've cut the ticket price in half for that game. And then we're also offering another opportunity on Sunday afternoon for people who want to go down, and that's the inter-squad game, and you can come off the street and go to that for $20. That's to see an NHL team play an inter-squad game. Like, that's pretty good stuff, you know. That's the kind of thing we're trying to do here. And, you know, the city's been involved in making that possible, but there's some people who are just going to be negative. They're just going to say, you know, it's wrong for the sake of doing it.
The last one we'll talk about the money is, people say quite clearly, why not pass along whatever additional burden comes from the Jets to the Caps, pass along to the people who buy the tickets themselves. I mean, the numbers throw around, which I don't think are accurate, about $1.46 a ticket would be the bump. I don't think that takes into consideration the 4,200 season tickets, but why not just pass it along to folks who go enjoy the games?
Well, you know, the thing is, it's not just the people that are in that stadium. It's everybody else in the city who's getting the benefit of this down there. You talk to taxi drivers, you talk to the hotel owners or bar owners, talk to the guys down the street down there as to what happens in a bar on a game night. You know, if it's not a good Saturday night, for example, it's a big deal. You know, it throws money into the pockets of everybody, not just the people who are benefiting by going in and watching a hockey game. And the other thing is, by us contributing, you know, $3 million plus to that rink, that covers the subsidy for the whole year from the city to Mile 1. So, like I said, if there's a car show or a monster truck show or Tim McGraw or anybody else goes down there, that operation, that Ice Caps operation, is paying the freight on that. So, like, you know, people just aren't getting it. These benefits are going to absolutely everybody. And, you know, it's frustrating to have to come out when the numbers are so lopsided and so obvious and so ridiculous to even have to. But, I mean, you know, people deserve an explanation, and I get that. So, you know, I only got back in town Tuesday night, but when I got back yesterday, I just got out and said, here's the numbers, folks. They speak for themselves. And I think people appreciate that and do understand it. But there'll always be the naysayers, and that's life.
Is this story bigger because it's you as opposed to Willie Daniels owns the team?
Sure it is. You know it is. You know, I mean, you can't, you know, you go out and because you've been successful, because you've, you know, worked hard, taken a lot of risk, employed a lot of people over the years, created a lot of jobs, but because you made it, then all of a sudden, you know, you can't do it for you. But like I said yesterday, you know, Rolls-Royce come into town, they do something, and they get $300,000. Nobody blinks an eyelash. No, nor should they. That company is actually doing good things in Newfoundland and Labrador. And that's what we're doing. You know, we're creating a lot of hype. I mean, the mood last year during the Calder Cup was fabulous. You can't buy that. You can't put a price on that. But, you know, people at the end of the day don't want hockey here, and they don't want their city paying for it. Well, that's, you know, that becomes their choice, and that's fine, and I accept that.
Well, I mean,
they like hockey too.
And I take my knocks. I'm supportive of the whole arrangement, and all I get is, oh yeah, you're Danny's boy. Jeez, I told him to, you know, who'd be most surprised with that, Danny.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, but that's brutal. That's so unfair when people are laying it out. You know, just lay out the facts, and I don't know why some people just can't stand prosperity, and you know.
Well, I'm glad there's a fifth season to be on. This one to enjoy. The story's not gone away, I'm sure. Hopefully, in the near future, we can talk a little of the political conversation, because obviously you're going to keep your hand in it because it's important to the people of the province. Also curious to hear about and to see the movie that Justin Sims and his team put together. I know it screened out in Halifax at the Atlantic Film Festival. Good reviews to it. Danny, I appreciate your time this morning. Hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thanks, Paddy. Good talking to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Daniel Williams, President and CEO of the St. John's Ice Caps.